Adams. I own an independent paper crafting business showcasing products from Stampin' Up! I made this card with products from Stampin' Up! I sell the products and also a few items to make crafting more convenient. I have the free detailed directions for this project on my website. Click the links for the products to be taken to my online store at Stampin' Up! You'll see where to find all of that at the end of this video, so don't worry about taking notes. It's time to put stamps, ink, and paper together. I am using prized Peony, and I'm using the Tasteful Textile embossing folder and Hippo and Friends dies. I love these label dies. I mentioned that I sell products to make crafting more convenient. One of those products is my taggers, and I now have a tagger for the Hippo and Friends. So you can see that I'm using the number 1 die. I was able to take this tagger and place it over the stamped image since it's at 100% and see that it will primarily fit on this tagger. I'm also going to be using my Stamparatus. I'm using Bumblebee. This is one of our new in colors. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have a piece of Whisper White that is at least 3.5 inches square, but I'm actually going to start out with a larger piece that I'm going to use as a placement on my Stamparatus. I also have a piece that's 3 inches by 1 1/4 for my greeting. I have a piece of Bumblebee that's 4 by 5 1/4. I have already embossed this with this Tasteful Textile embossing folder. I love this folder. And I have a piece of Whisper White that's 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside of the card. My colors are Bumblebee and Pear Pizzazz. I actually looked at Google Images for peonies, and I discovered that peonies come in a very wide range of colors, oranges and reds, as well as the pale pinks and yellows. So I thought I would try it in Bumblebee. I'm going to be using a combination of stamp pads and the markers. The first thing I'm going to do is cut out my Whisper White with the die. So I'm bringing in my die cutting machine. I'm kind of lining it up so these double points are perpendicular to the card. This die actually cuts out with stitching on this side as well as this side, so that you can use it either way as an opening in a frame. So then I can use this piece as a template for placement. And I'm using the very large image, just placing it on my Stamparatus and pick it up. Then I'm going to ink it, and I'm going to use this side of the stamp pad to ink this large flower and the small flower, but I'm just really using the corner, and I don't know if you can see the shininess, but I have not inked the whole flower. Doing the same thing with the Pear Pizzazz with the side opposite this little tray. And then I'm going to use the markers to finish. Now you could do all of your inking with markers. Totally fine. If you're making a lot of these cards, you probably want to make it a little faster by using the stamp pads. Whatever's convenient for you. And I have taken the plate out of the Stamparatus just so it's easier for me to turn it around to color, and also because I'm going to be spritzing it. And it's more convenient for me to hold this and move it around. So I don't think I mentioned on supplies, I do have a spritzer. And one other thing you might want to use is this tailored tag punch. So I'm going to just spritz it just a couple of times. I'm going to put my paper back in the place where it came from, and then just close the Stamparatus. And I get a very nice image there. On my sample, I just left the inside blank, but I think I'm going to put another flower on the inside, the smaller one. The stamp set actually has 3 peonies and a couple of leaves, and it's got this really subtle design. And I'm going to show you a different technique for inking. This is mostly flower and just a couple of leaves. So I've inked the whole thing, and then I'm using a blender pen to remove some of the ink from the leaves. And then I'm just going to use a Pear Pizzazz marker to color in the leaves. And I'll put that in this bottom left corner. I'm going to flag the end of this little banner. I'm using the Taylor Tag Punch. I just want to look here, and I try to center this. Not sure if it's totally centered. And I want to be able to see the corners of the cardstock there. I don't know if you can spot that. I want to do that before I stamp my greeting, because I want my greeting as far to the right as I can. I want to get a little bit of movement to this piece, so I'm just going to I'm just gently curling it with the bone folder. And that gets more of a flaggy look to that. So now I just need to put it together. I'm using the new Stampin' Seal, which I like very much. They say that you're not supposed to have to check it, but I found I do need to do something a little bit on the end. The only thing about any of these is that you've got adhesive on the roller, and you want to have adhesive on the part that's actually touching the cardstock so it catches. So I'm just setting that in there. I do prefer on the embossed pieces to use the liquid glue. Now you could pop this up with dimensionals. I tend to not put too many dimensionals on a card because I want it to go through the mail easily. Putting my greetings, I want to put it as far to the right as I can. And I am going to put dimensionals on the flower. I think, in my opinion, 1 layer of dimensionals can go through the post office pretty easily, but 2 starts getting iffy. I'm going to put 1 in the center and 1 on the banner so that this stays popped up. And there it is. I made quite a few of these cards. In fact, this isn't all of them. I've already mailed off quite a few. With the Stamparatus, it's really easy to crank out a lot of them. Here is the web address for this project, where you'll find the free detailed directions and links for the products I used. Under Shop, you'll find products from Bev, frequent shopper points. If you click Products from Bev, you'll find out how to share my Evernote notebook, a completely searchable catalog of all the current products, and I have taggers. You can give a name to each one of those dies. I also have a cardstock sampler with all of the current Stampin' Up! Colors. And if you've purchased one in the past, I have an updater with all the brand new in colors. And if you're getting one now, I have a backdater so you can get last year's in colors. And I have a fine tip glue pen replacement tips. So if your glue pen tip gets clogged, just swap it out. I have heavy duty reclosable bags. There are some for the 6x6 papers and some for the 12x12 papers. And you can get a bow maker from my friend Gidget. Under Inspiration, you can scroll my projects. You can scroll through the basics. You'll learn what's special about Stampin' Up! Stamps. You can learn about our color families and all the wonderful products that come in the color families. Some ideas for coloring. There's information about cutting, including how I store my card bases and layers. If you're wondering about all of our new adhesives, there's all kinds of information about those and some of my favorite tools. Under Getting Organized, you'll find a link for my stamp case slips, product labels, large labels, case inserts, a lot of color tools, a practically free stamp pad storage solution, catalog tabs, a quick reference, and a wish list with a catalog index, basic toolkit to go, and a little compact desktop tool box. You can tour my craft space. Under color tools, you can make your own cardstock sampler with labels here. There's a DSP divider, and I have a new quarter sheet size. And there's a quarter sheet size DSP sampler. I have lots of color charts. I have a sponge dauber case insert, color wheel, a color chart with autocorrect and RGB codes. Under Sip Together, if we ever get a chance to meet in home and craft together, you can find about my next classes, and you can find out how to join my team, where you can save money or make money. Almost all of those resources are free. More organization means more time for crafting. Talk to you soon. Bye.